Have you ever heard the wolf cry for food, or asked the grinning bobcat why he grinned? Can you sing with all the voices of a mountain? Can you paint the colors of the wind? Have you ever heard the wolf cry for food, or asked the grinning bobcat why he grinned? Can you sing with all the voices of a mountain? Can you paint all the colors of the wind? Can you paint with all the colors of the wind? Can you paint with all the colors of the wind? Paint with all the colors of the wind. Can you paint with all the colors of the wind? Can you paint with all the colors of the wind?
everyone. Can you hear me? All good?
Yes.
Sent by somebody from the community. I'm not exactly sure who. They went via Ellen, and yeah, they were interesting. Ellen was supposed to MC today, and she's not feeling well. And we had made a deal that I would wear as many hats as possible during this call. And every time I changed hat, she would talk about like, oh, you should tell your friends about buying tickets. So I'm still going to do the hat thing, and I might mention tickets quickly when, like, after changing hats. I hope everybody consents to this. If you don't, please tell me off, and I'll shut up about tickets. But hey, like, Wave 2 ends today. Tell your friends who haven't bought tickets yet to buy tickets today, so they get them for 20 euros less. And since nobody else seems to be stepping in to do the topics, I'm going to start going through the topics which have been posted on the updates and on WhatsApp and so on. Do we have somebody from the ticketing team on here? I think possibly the close. Oh, yeah.
I'm here.
Aaron, you're here. Hello, Aaron.
Hello. I mean, you've pretty much said it all there, Daniel. Ticketing. Wave 2 ends
tickets.
in the next few hours. I'm not sure how many hours, about 3.5 now. So yeah, if you haven't got a ticket yet, grab it. If you've got any barrio chats where you can post to get other members of your barrio, please do that. And then ticket prices will go up at midnight. We've also got bus tickets on sale, so make sure you get in there. A couple of the routes are actually filling up, so I would encourage anybody who needs a bus ticket to also follow through on that. Both links are on the website. I think that's pretty much it, Daniel. Just keep reminding people to buy tickets.
Fantastic. And as you can notice, I've changed my hat, so I get to mention tickets again. Like, if you got a friend who, that friend that you told, like, hey, you should totally come to this event in the desert and stuff like that, and you forgot to mention to them that it's happening, this is your sign to go and tell them and send them a ticketing link. The next item on the list is about participation, update on volunteers. Who wants to take this? I'm guessing possibly Nurse.
Yes, hello, I can do it. I'm just out on the street walking home. So volunteers-wise, it's looking less dire than it was a month ago, but it's still not looking great. For the first crew, for the first week on site, they're still about 50% short of the labor they need. So unloading shipping containers, construction, getting things started. They've managed to pull together a cantina team. So it looks like we'll have 4 people coming out to help with the kitchen, including one person who's not even coming to the event. One of the challenges we have is that if somebody doesn't come early for the first week, so the, say, 6 people who came last year who aren't coming, if they don't come in the first week, they're not here in the second week to help, and then they're not here in the third week to help. So if anyone in your camp or in your circle or in your sphere is interested in coming out early, let us know. The good news as well is that I'm in pre-event week, so just heading into the event, all the smaller teams like Barrio Support, LNT, they're smashing it. They've got really good, solid teams. I think a lot of people who led projects last year clearly did a very good job, appreciated that people are coming back specifically to work to them. So I think it's always good to praise and note that. But pre-event, it's going to be interesting and have a lot more labor put on people. Event-wise, Gate is doing fantastically well. Again, that's a really good project with a really good team around it that seems to get people coming back. They're almost full for most of the key days. Event time, Nomads are signing up. The area that's going to be really difficult is Malfair shift leads and site leads. So we just need to make sure that we've got a body of people who are willing to take an 8-hour stint, run the event, be the responsible grown-up. And then Strike is always the red-headed stepchild of the volunteer experience. We might just be a bit thin on numbers there, so we're going to start to look at that. But yeah, the more people that can stay for 1 day post-event, or 2 days or 3 days is great. Even though the quantity is less than we want, the quality is amazing. Non-stop. My emails are going every day. Like, people are really busy. You're working really hard. It's amazing how much people have pulled on. Like, you cannot fault how much people are doing. And just for each of you, make sure that you're, getting some rest. You're doing a huge amount to pull this all together. Let's remember to be nice to each other. I think some people, one of the teams in particular, if people haven't been happy with placement or some other aspect of the event or work, people can get a bit snippy. It's quite stressful. You're all doing amazing. Overall, it's a great team to work with. I'm super happy. We just need more people. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for everybody who's signing up. And also, if you're on this call, you're one of the people who's doing the most amount of work to make this happen. So it's pretty impressive. So I hope you get as much or as little orgy time on site as you wanted to choose your own adventure story, but you deserve to get whatever you want during the event.
And even if you're watching this call, because there are a few people who watch the videos, like, I checked the YouTube channel and some people do watch the videos. If you're watching this call, you're also one of the special people who is probably quite involved. I've changed my hat again, so this gives me another chance to mention tickets and barrios. Like, if you're in a barrio, like, there might be some barrio members who have kind of dragged their heels, they haven't bought their tickets yet, and they could kill two birds with one stone. They could buy a ticket and they could sign up to come on site, like to be first on site as well. Maybe do both at the same time. That would be like, extra cool. Next, we have city planners can't contain their enthusiasm is the way the agenda item has been stated. Who's from city planning who can talk about this? Who's here can't contain their enthusiasm? Is there somebody from city planning who can't contain their enthusiasm?
You have a worst note taker?
I don't think Ward's note taker is looking particularly enthusiastic right now. Ah, there you go.
No, I am the enthusiast.
Yay.
Yeah. It's to a message for Barrio because the container placement starts. So for now, we only have the old way, like the giving you some PDF where you can draw your container and specific information if you need. And there is the new way, with the app on humans that is gonna come this weekend, I hope. Development is still going on, but it's gonna come soon. For us, it's easier if you do it on humans to place your containers because less work afterward to draw back the containers into computers. But yes, please do it. You have 2 weeks to do it. The deadline, I think, is on the 26th or 27th of May.
So to be clear, this is open now. People can start drawing their containers on the map now.
No. It will open this weekend.
This weekend, probably.
But they can download the PDF file already and start planning their barrio layouts.
Okay. Are you done?
Yes.
Cool. So I have changed my hat again. So tickets again. If there is somebody, maybe your person who knows where to place all the containers hasn't got their tickets yet, or somebody related to your build might not yet have their ticket. Maybe get in touch with them, check that they have their ticket, because otherwise it goes up in price at the end of the night. And then the next item we have is Power Team. Power Team has a blank or two for you, is the way this has been stated. I'm very curious to find out what that means. If there's somebody from the Power Team here. Yeah,
That'd be me.
Hello.
Hi. Yeah, so the blank or two, we've got a form for the barrios that are connecting to the grid. We've got about half of the barrios that are trying to connect to the grid this year have done the form. And so if there are any barrios present or watching this, or if you know any barrios who have been dragging their feet on that, we do need that information about all the barrio power use in order to get the grid planned properly. So that is top priority. For right now. And that's all there is for power right now.
By the way, it's amazing how much work you guys have done to, like, connect everything up and stuff. And I was shocked to find out just how much power the garden is planning to consume. But that's a separate topic to be taken offline.
Yes, we reassigned the grid for that, but don't worry, we're on it.
I think we might need 3 grids. The yellow grid, the red grid, and the garden grid. Like, anyway. Thank you so much for all your work making this happen, because God knows that if we don't have fridges and stuff like that functioning, it's not going to be a fun burn. So, and not to mention sound systems as well, to play all that mediocre house. So thank you so much. And obviously I've changed my hat again, which gives me the power to mention tickets again. And to move on also to the next item, which is also kind of like ticket related, which is a bus reminder, which I think Aaron mentioned sort of already, but maybe there's somebody else who wants to do a bit more.
This one's me again.
All right.
I think. Because while, yes, the buses were mentioned, we have also, we're trying to get enough interest gathered for a Barrio Build bus. So that's on Wednesday, July 1st. In previous years, it hasn't been very popular, and so we were thinking of not doing it. But there have been a lot of people in a few barrios that were really hoping to get to site on the first day of Barrio Build. So currently, we've got 27 people who have expressed interest. So we're just about at that point where we can break even on that bus. But if you are interested in one of those buses, there are links on the Discord, and maybe I'll just put one in chat for good measure.
Thank you. And this leads us to the next topic, which you may notice I've put on a brown hat. This is related to the next topic because we're going to be talking about LNT. And you might be surprised to know that a very large portion of ticket price goes into paying for loos. This is one of the surprises of looking deep into the finances of the event. Loos are expensive, and changing the loos, like, getting them with the maintenance, it's pretty expensive. And there's an item here. What's new in Pooh? LNT update. Who's taking this sexy item? Anyone? Is it not sexy enough? 9.3% of our budget should be pretty sexy. Maybe we don't have anybody from LNT right now, in which case we might not be able to find out what's new in Pooh, which is very sad because I'm sure it would have been very exciting. There's no U in Pooh. Yeah, I mean, yes, that is true. And it rhymes. Okay. Well, if the LNT update comes around, we will get back to that.
If I can just add about future toilets, like one of the motivations that a lot of people express for having a new site in the future is because we could do things like build structures for toilets that could be compost and that could reduce that cost over time. So just a side note.
Thank you, Pablo. And moving on to the next item, I've put on a hat with fairy lights because the next item is about art, which another big portion of our ticket price goes into art. And we're hoping very much to start increasing that in future years. We've seen how much Borderland gives to Dream Grants, and like we're kind of slightly, feeling a bit inferior there. And so we'll try and increase that over the coming years. But the next item is about the last call for art grants. Who's on the call? Is Ollie here or somebody talk about art grants? Or is it another one where we're missing the person? I guess we might be missing someone from art. That's a shame. No Pooh and no art. Like both the biggest ticket prices, or two of the biggest expenses not present. But I guess the item is self-explanatory that it is the last call for art grants. If you want to get an art grant for a project, or if you know an artist who might want to come to the event and bring their art, you can kill two birds with one stone by telling them they should apply for an art grant and they should get a ticket because it goes up in price at the end of today. Which brings me to the next item, the last item in our agenda, which is support for radical inclusion, resources from the inclusion team. And that's going to be Tilke. Do I magnify you as well, Anna, or just okay?
I
Just
think
okay.
me
Just-
for now is good, but Anna, if you want to step in at some point, please do. This topic came up because some barrios were struggling with some like ethical questions in, for example, the how do you deal with people from Israel applying to your barrio and the current genocide or other political themes that are happening or are very big right now in the world. And there was quite a discussion happening on Discord. Some people may have seen it. And the inclusion team was asked to put together some advice, some guidelines, which I also posted already in that group on Discord. But if other people are also interested in that, you can always email also to the inclusion team. And I would love to present it also today. I will quickly go through it, not like step on every detail that's in there, because you can read it yourself. Let's see if I can share it. I think it should be visible right now. Otherwise, please someone interrupt me so I don't feel like an idiot. So the first thing that we did was look a bit into the framework of Elsewhere. We have some framework, being first the principles, of course, which inclusion is one of them, where it says everyone is welcome to be a nobody, people come as they are, and that's the point. Include others in the way that you want to be included, all of that. We also have the code of conduct, where everyone who buys a ticket automatically agrees with this code of conduct, which also says we will not tolerate all different kinds of discrimination and harassment, which if you do not know, maybe read the conduct again before coming to Elsewhere. And a third one we have is community standards, which also says something about respectful interactions, where we try to understand each other's cultures, opinions, and motivations, and all of that, which is more about also Elsewhere, the culture when we're all together in the dust. What makes this discussion that popped up such a difficult topic? I think one, there is the discussion around how much space politics and the state of the world can take place at a burn. It's not actually embedded in the principle, but it is very present in our culture that politics should leave, like not be too present on the playa. But I know a lot of barrios and people that struggle with that. Also, the question arises, like how much of that can be privileged, because some people don't have the privilege, for example, to leave politics behind because of their identity. So it might be interesting also to create a community conversation about this in the future, like how do we deal with this? Which is not necessarily something we want to organize right now, but maybe after the event of this year, might be interesting. And if people would be interested in that, you can definitely reach out. But second thing, often in the world, but in general, in also during the burn, people often react out of a space of hurt and trauma. We all have our own backpacks, which often leads also to room for less nuance in discussions, especially about more difficult ones about like politics and stuff like that. We as humans often base our interactions on very little information we have at hand, especially people we don't know very well, people we just met, people we are dancing with on the dance floor, all of that. And with this, we tend to make quick associations and sometimes act on assumptions instead of facts, which is important to be aware of. And there's also the legal component of like asking for private information, conducting screenings, like especially for camp leads, for example, like where is that edge of like what can we ask when people are like apply for a barrio, what can we not ask? This difficult debates. Which brings me also to challenges as a camp lead or as a barrio. when you get applications where topics are touched with a lot of public debate, for example, Israel and the genocide in Palestine, trans rights, people who had previous consent accidents or violations, like this kind of things, it is very challenging as a camp lead how to deal with that. Also, as camp lead, you're trying to keep an eye on everything that can cause a possible conflict in camp. You're trying to work as preventively as you can to make the workload or like the culture as safe as possible during the event also. And everyone is trying to create a space as safe as possible with people from very different backgrounds and stories, which is in every community a big challenge. And also the balance of like where does including some people lead to excluding other people. Like I'm a camp lead for each Yardat myself, like we're a very queer barrio, like how much emphasis do you put on like, do we only want queer people in the barrio, or like does that start excluding like people that are not queer, like things like this, for example. It can be a very difficult ethical balance. The next thing is a bit of information about the differences between discrimination and microaggressions. I'm not going to go in very much detail here, but it's interesting to read, which also is a big difference because a lot of discrimination is protected by law, for example, but we also have a lot of microaggressions, which is more little things that are not necessarily like official discrimination or protected by law, but they're also hurtful for people. And in elsewhere, of course, we strive for an environment where both don't happen, but of course, like we're human and like these things happen. And it is a bit of an art almost to create the tools in your barrio to deal when these things happen. Which then brings me to tools that we offer as the inclusion team to create nuance and mediate in your barrio, like some advice on how to approach your application. For example, a lot of people have their own code of conduct for their barrio, where we advise to show very much what you do stand for. And in this case, it is very easy to get stuck on more general concepts like inclusion and anti-discrimination, where I think we can all agree on that we want that. But it might be interesting also to tell people, what does that look like in your barrio? Give examples on like, how do you work on that? Because these things are used so much by now that they're becoming quite empty. So that's something that you can do. Try to keep the same approach for everyone that's applying to your barrio. If you feel that something is off, your intuition is tingling, talk to people. Sometimes it also gets lost in online communication, especially with so many languages that are going around. So try to move past that, go into contact with people, do a video call if you have the energy. And then some advice of like when like conflict actually happens, for example, during the burn, but sometimes even online already in preparation for the burn. What can you do? Tips to de-escalate. And another advice that we give is like have a policy also at hand. If things go into conflict, explain to people like what you do as a barrio when that does happen. So people know what to expect. And also when conflict happens, then you have a policy that you can use to act on, and you're not acting out of a personal thing, which also really helps to de-escalate in conflict. As a last thing is working towards repair whenever possible. I really advise looking into transformative justice and communal accountability. Those are big terms, but if people are very interested in that, that's some advice I can give to like start reading books or like interviews or whatever. And we give some tips and tricks about what that actually means to like acknowledge and validate the hurt and harm that's caused, but where we start by listening to the person who has been hurt, but also create space or like don't cut loose the person that has caused the harm. Which is also about like accountability as a community, and help address the root why this has happened, because maybe it's a bigger thing than just this person alone. This is very quickly going through like quite a bit of information. I'm gonna leave it at this. Stop sharing. But I want to say, like, if at any point there are some things that you struggle with as a barrio, like an ethical discussion, or like something is appearing between your members or with an application and you're not sure what to do, we are not the all-knowing wizards, but we do have some experience in our team. It's not only me. We have an amazing team with experiences around queerness, around BIPOC, about disability, about harm reduction, all of this kind of stuff. So please do reach out. The email is on the website. The email is also in this document that I just showed. So please do reach out if you need us. That's it.
Thank you, Tilke. And if anybody has questions about this, obviously, please feel free to ask them. I want to say also, like, you know, people who sign up to this, there is support on this, like in inclusion. We have a fantastic inclusion team, like for at least the last couple of years, maybe even before that, but I wasn't fully aware of it. And they're available to help before the event, and they're also available to help during the event. Like, I know that a couple of days ago there was a call between the inclusion and Malfair and consent and so on, and all these teams like are not necessarily quite as active during the event as but they can be. They are available. So if you've got an issue like this, Malfair knows how to get in touch. So maybe, you know, get some nomads or go to Malfair, and like you can get support for these kinds of issues. And, you know, people don't sign up to be, you know, queer inclusion lead without caring about queer inclusion. You know, so if there's an issue to do with queer inclusion, they're going to want to help because they care. So yeah, I think that's really awesome. It's a really fantastic thing about Elsewhere. I see that Nurse has his hand up, so I'm going to pin him and I'm going to unpin myself.
Yeah, thanks for that, Tilke. I really appreciate the logical and clear assessment on it. I'm just going to vent and I'm just going to rant. Every year since October the 7th at the event, we get this flare up. Our Israeli, Jewish, Midburn, some of whom serve in the IDF, are one of the largest, most consistent minority groups at the event. The event always goes off without fail, and it's fine, and things are fine. Half these people don't even get someone's name before they fuck them in an orgy, let alone checking their service history. It just does worry me that every year there's some flare up of discussions of how can we single out this individual group and not let these people in. So, I mean, like I said, there's no easy answer. It's messy. It's very messy. And I will say that, you know, it's a complex geopolitical issue and lots of us don't fully understand it, including those who also have opinions. But, you know, the event where this took place on October the 7th, like, there are people from our community who were at their event. They're a sister, you know, there are people who have lost friends there. So it's a very, very grayish area. And I appreciate you looking at it. I just find it's the only group that it seems to be acceptable. And I think people are having that conversation. You know, a few years ago, there was somebody who was suggesting they didn't even want Zionists in their camp. Each Rideout handled that exceptionally well. I really appreciate the way that was handled. So it's a messy issue. I don't know enough about the geopolitical situation. Most of us who have this opinion do. But I will say we've got a cohort of our volunteers. You know, last year at Strike, 10% of our cohort of volunteers for Strike were those people. So a lot of it is people virtually signaling online. But yeah, I just have to say, I think they're the only group that would be tolerated in any way saying the sort of stuff that's been said online. That's it.
Thank you, Nurse. I have put on a new hat. I feel a bit like out of touch mentioning tickets right now, but I will kind of weave into it by saying that, like, to me, inclusion, the fact that inclusion is a principle of Burning Man, has been a massively important thing for me, for my belonging to this community. I find it really unpleasant to be in communities, no matter how positive they are if at the edges they behave violently towards people where there's a kind of a little bit of a gray area. That's why I got involved in consent back in 2020. And that's why I care about this. And it matters a lot to me that inclusion, which is a complicated topic that has a lot of nuance to it, is handled well. It really warms my heart to see that it is handled well elsewhere. It's really important to me. And yeah, I can't quite link that to tickets, but maybe, find somebody who needs to be included and invite them to elsewhere. And so they can get the benefit of this inclusion by buying a ticket. Does anybody have any other questions? I see a comment from Ant. I'm not sure if that's a question though. I do have one more hat, which might give me the opportunity to mention tickets one more time, but after somebody else says something. Does anybody have any questions, statements? They don't want to jump in, start a debate, share a story. Say anything at all, or do we want to end this call soon? I will give it a little bit of time. We put this topic last because we're expecting a lot of discussion, but it feels like there isn't quite as much as we might have expected, which is either good or bad, depending on how you look at it, or neither. It doesn't have to be good or bad. No flag. Yeah, I mean, so actually, that's a really good point about flags. I believe Burning Man has a sort of general approach that, we don't display commercial symbols. You don't have lots of Coke banners and Pepsi and whatever and all that kind of stuff. And flags are kind of part of the sort of symbols of the default world, from my perspective. I would hope not to see even though I'm from Switzerland, I would hope not to see a Swiss flag or a French flag or a Spanish flag or a Catalonian flag or any other flags elsewhere. And that's been the case for every year that I've been. I don't think I've seen any kind of prominent flags anywhere. So it feels like that's worked. Yeah, Swiss camp is okay, just not Swiss flag. Swiss get a whole pass. Does anyone else want to say anything else? Or are we ready for the very last ticket mention with the very last hat? I don't have any more hats after this one. Remember, Wave 2 ends in about 3 hours and 20 minutes. After that, ticket prices go up by 20 euros. It's not a huge difference, but it can be enough of a difference to encourage somebody who was waiting for a reason to buy the tickets to buy it now. So if you know one of these people who's on the fence, maybe ping them and say, hey, might as well buy your ticket now because the prices go up at midnight. And then they'll get it for 20 euros less. So, okay. With this mentioned, I'll take off my last hat and bid you all a good... I don't know, I've forgotten, Tank. Maybe you can mention it. I don't have any hats anymore, so my brain's fallen out. All right, I'll see you all next week. I guess we have another call next week, and hopefully we'll find out what's new with Pooh. And yeah, have a lovely evening. Enjoy your weekend. Take care, everybody, and yeah, bye.